Welcome, folks. Are you ready for a whirlwind of action, comedy, and pure, unadulterated baldness? Buckle up, because we're about to recap One Punch Man Season 1, the show that left us all questioning if we too could become superheroes with a little bit of grocery shopping, a pinch of heroic spirit, and just a dash of obsessive-compulsive exercise. A story that's got everyone buzzing, the thrilling tale of our hilariously clueless hero, Saitama. So, let the story begin. A city in Japan, a massive explosion, and a Piccolo lookalike from China's Dragon Ball Z shows up, causing chaos and destruction everywhere. All the heroes who try to stop it. Yeah, they end up battered and defeated. But then, there's our hero, Saitama. You can't miss him. He's the bald guy who is watching TV. He puts on his cape and rushes outside to save the day. Just as the monster is about to attack a little girl, Saitama swoops in for the rescue. This Piccolo is created from pollution, and its mission is to destroy human civilization and cleanse the earth. This monster should get a Nobel Prize for the environment. When the monster goes full-on demonic, Saitama lands a gentle punch, and poof! The creature is gone. Who would have seen that coming? Now, let's travel back 3 years when Saitama still had hair and was just another guy going to work. He bumps into a perverted lobster monster, and get this, the creature isn't wearing any pants. The monster sees Saitama's indifferent expression, similar to its own, and decides to spare him. It's on a mission to hunt down a kid with a butt on his chin, quite the unique target. Saitama heads to the park and, sure enough, finds the kid with the butt-shaped chin. It turns out that the kid had actually drawn on the lobster monster with a marker, making it angrier than a vegan at a steakhouse. Just as Saitama's about to leave, the lobster monster spots the kid and charges at him. But our hero Saitama swoops in for the rescue. The monster threatens Saitama, saying if he doesn't back off, it'll make sure he never gets a job. But fearless Saitama doesn't budge. He threatens to decapitate the monster, pretending to be a local Yakuza associate. However, the lobster monster, being a die-hard BTS fan, isn't having it, and punches Saitama away. But our hero's not done yet. He gets back up and keeps on fighting. In a last-ditch effort, Saitama leaps onto the monster, using his own tie to blindfold it. Then, in a move that would make a sushi chef proud, he pulls out the monster's brain. From that day on, Saitama trains so hard that he loses all his hair and becomes an unstoppable hero. But alas, he's still broke. One day, while shopping at a supermarket, an earthquake hits, and everyone panics. Turns out, there's a giant monster entering the city with its brother on its shoulder. This giant is actually the sibling who's been on a relentless quest for power, guzzling a mysterious potion from his brother and turning into a giant. The giant's wreaking havoc, waving his hand around and destroying huge chunks of the city. Meanwhile, his brother's just chillin' on his shoulder, watching buildings crumble wherever they go. Now Saitama's perched on the giant's other shoulder, and the older bro orders the younger one to take Saitama out on the right shoulder. But the younger sibling, being a few crayons short of a full box, can't tell left from right, and ends up smacking his own brother's shoulder. Talk about a family feud. Younger bro gets mad, grabs Saitama, and chucks him into a building. Then, he jumps down and starts stomping and punching at our hero, thinking he has avenged his older bro. But like a bald phoenix, Saitama rises and delivers a punch right to the face. Later that night, Saitama runs into a car-transforming monster at the supermarket. The creature threatens to make his head shine even brighter, but our hero lands a punch that sends it straight to the junkyard. Saitama goes home, does his usual routine, and hits the hay, wondering if he'll ever find a worthy opponent. The next morning, Saitama's apartment gets wrecked, and a beefy attacker shows up. Turns out, he's a creature from the underground, and his buddies are ready to reclaim the surface. Saitama's stoked. It's been ages since he's had some decent competition. He takes out one attacker with a single punch, then another, and another. It's like an all-you-can-punch buffet, and Saitama's got a big appetite. Everything's on fire, and Saitama's declaring himself the defender of the surface. He's finally getting the thrill of a real battle, taking out all these underground monsters. Their big boss shows up, and the fight is on. But just as it's getting good, Saitama's alarm clock goes off. Yep, it was all a dream. But wait! Those underground dwellers are actually attacking for real. Saitama leaps down, stomps one of them out, and the rest just give up and beg for mercy. Meanwhile, the news is reporting a crazy mosquito outbreak, with critters leaving nothing but dried up animal carcasses in their wake. Saitama is just watering his plants when he spots one of these pesky bloodsuckers. He tries to catch it but keeps missing, so he cranks up the speed, determined to end this mosquito madness. Suddenly, a massive swarm of mosquitoes buzzes by, and someone's trying to take him out. Amidst the chaos, a thief sees his chance, but the mosquitoes have other plans. They surround and drain him dry. Then, the mosquito queen shows up, and she's weirdly attractive. A cyborg tries to shoot her, but she's too fast. Then, she has her swarm surround the cyborg, who uses his firepower to incinerate the mosquitoes. Meanwhile, our hero Saitama is still struggling with that one mosquito, his face turning red from frustration. If only the battle with the underground dwellers had been this challenging. The mosquito queen and the cyborg are duking it out, trading blows like it's a heavyweight championship. The cyborg's shooting left and right, but the mosquito queen dodges like she's dancing the cha-cha. She gets in close, stabs the cyborg's arm, but surprise! The cyborg's chopped off her legs. As the queen flies up, she summons an army of mosquitoes. Meanwhile, Saitama is still trying to squash that one mosquito he's been chasing. The cyborg tells Saitama to run, before things get worse, but the mosquito queen sends her swarm towards the cyborg. Desperate, the cyborg unleashes a massive blast, wiping out every mosquito in the area. Saitama compliments his strength, and a traffic sign is falled down to cover his, modesty. But the mosquito queen's not done. Having absorbed enough blood, she transforms into an even stronger form, slicing through buildings with her blade. She quickly appears behind the cyborg, nearly cutting him in half. She flings him into the air and relentlessly strikes him. The cyborg's about to go full kamikaze with a self-destruct move, but Saitama swoops in and delivers a good old slap, ending the mosquito queen's reign of terror. The cyborg, amazed by Saitama's strength, begs to be his disciple. He shows up at Saitama's place, introduces himself as Genos. He explains that his entire body is composed of machinery and starts asking about Saitama's skin-colored armor on his head. Saitama's like, "That's my skin, buddy." Genos comments on his baldness, and Saitama fires back. "Hey, that's none of your business." Genos starts telling his sob story. When he was 15, a cyborg attacked his village, wiped out everything, and left his family 6 feet under. As he's bleeding out, Dr. Kashino happens to stroll by and saves him. Genos begs the doc to turn him into a justice-seeking Robocop, ready to take down the one who ruined his life. But let's be honest, Genos is a bit of a chatterbox. Saitama's brain is as full as his wallet, which is not very, so he tells Genos to wrap it up in 20 words or less. Genos gets to the point. He wants to be as strong as Saitama. Saitama says he started training at 22 and now, at 25, he's a powerhouse. Genos, only 19, would need 200 years to catch up, unless the author throws him a bone. Saitama agrees to train him if he's up for the challenge. Genos is all in. Just then, Genos spots something, a grasshopper. It hops into Saitama's apartment, but before it can say hi, Saitama sends it packing with a punch. Genos senses 2 more outside, but Saitama's already turned them into bug pancakes. Suddenly, Saitama gets yanked underground. Behind Genos is another cyborg, decked out in some fancy armor. Genos wonders if this is the one who wrecked his village. Meanwhile, Saitama goes head-to-head with the Lion King, Simba, and a groundhog who's quite handy at digging. Genos and the cyborg duke it out, while Simba brags about how he's going to take down Saitama in style. But hold up! Saitama pops up like it's no biggie, leaving his foes dumbstruck. He gives them an ultimatum: apologize and cough up 400 million for the ceiling repairs. Simba, not too pleased with Saitama's sass, goes full attack mode with his claws. He even kicks it up a notch with his super lion form, but Saitama shuts him down with one punch. The groundhog tries to make a run for it, but Saitama sends it flying with a well-placed punch. Back to Genos, who takes out the cyborg, only to find it's a gorilla named Kong in armor. Kong tries to intimidate Genos, saying the Lion King, Simba, will come to his rescue. But Saitama shows up with Simba's eye, scaring the bananas out of Kong. Later, Kong spills the beans, admitting he just thought it'd be cool to do it. Once upon a time, a young genius scientist, Dr. Gero, made waves with his incredible ideas. But the world just didn't get him, and his theories were overlooked. Obsessed with evolving humanity, he pressed on until he hit 70, finally making a breakthrough. He turned back the clock, cloned himself, and started creating new species in his lab called evolution. Saitama, losing interest, asked for a 20-word summary and a reminder not to mess with him. Long story short, Kong says that Dr. Gero wants Saitama's body for experiments, and sends his minions to nab him. Saitama makes it clear he's not down for games, but the young Kong insists it's about his body, not playing. Curious, Saitama and Genos set out to meet this mad scientist. At the base, the folks inside decide to unleash their ultimate weapon, a ferocious beetle, Cell, to take on Saitama. The mere mention sends shivers down the clone's spines. As our heroes race towards the base, Genos lets loose with his firepower, obliterating the entire 8-story building. Saitama, amazed, tells Genos to take it down a notch. So, they find a secret door and head on in. All the clone folks are dead, taken out by Cell that looks like it came straight from a sci-fi flick. Dr. Gero shows up and asks if the beast is happy. Even if it kills him, more clones will take his place, and he wants it to capture Saitama and Genos, dead or alive. As our heroes stroll through the lab, something suddenly rushes towards them. It's Cell and Dr. Gero. Cell targets Saitama, smashes Genos into a wall, and invites Saitama to a more spacious room for a showdown. This room is where Dr. Gero has his creatures battle to test their fighting skills. Genos, struggling to get up, fires at Cell. He runs around, shooting and punching, but Cell easily swats him away. Luckily, Saitama catches him. As Genos tries one last attack, Cell breathes fire back, which is pretty terrifying. Dr. Gero looks down on humans like they're dumb animals. He wants to evolve these two-legged creatures into something more useful. Meanwhile, he watches the battle between Saitama and Cell. Cell charges Saitama, but when it sees his eyes, it freaks out, falls back, and asks Saitama what he eats to be so strong. Saitama says if it really wants to know, he'll spill the beans. Genos and the others lean in, eager to hear the secret. Saitama loudly reveals his daily 3-year training routine: 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10 km run, no days off. He only eats bananas for breakfast, and avoids AC to stay nimble. His hair's gone from all that intense training, but man, is he strong! Genos scoffs, saying it's nonsense, and that no one could get that buff with just 100 reps of each exercise. Saitama insists he's telling the truth. Cell Beetle is ticked off by Saitama's rambling and goes berserk, lighting up the whole base in a red glow with its power. It charges Saitama, smacking him around in midair before he hits the ground. Cell keeps punching, launching Saitama skyward. As the beetle jumps up to keep attacking, Saitama realizes that today's a big sale day at the supermarket. Livid that he missed the sale, Saitama lands a knockout punch on Cell and then sits down, bawling because he missed the discount bonanza. Just then, Genos chimes in that there are still 4 hours left, so the two of them blast a hole in the base and make a beeline for the supermarket. Dr. Gero realizes that he's the one who needs to change. There's this bald dude who wants to upend the workplace, thinking the rich are getting fatter while the poor are barely scraping by. He wonders why they can't share food and work together. They want to eat without working, and this paradise organization led by the bald guy will make it happen again. But despite the rallying cry, nobody seems to care, so they decide to head to the richest person's house in town and wreak some havoc. When they get there, one of the gang members, donning a battle suit, flattens the house with a single punch. However, another gang member points out they hit the wrong house, and the richest person's house is in another direction. Hey, everybody makes mistakes, right? So they move on. Saitama wakes up from a dream where a massive chunk of rubble nearly squished him flat. As he brushes his teeth, the news reports that a group of people led by a criminal named Hammerhead have destroyed a skyscraper. The gang's signature look? Bald heads. Saitama gets steamed, thinking they're ripping off his shiny dome and committing crimes, dragging down the good name of bald heroes everywhere. He swears he'll deal with them. Meanwhile, the police are no match for the Hammerhead gang. Mumin Rider, the hero on a bicycle, swoops in to save the day, but gets knocked out cold with a single punch. Somebody better call an ambulance for this poor delusional dude. On the flip side, Gennaro, the city's richest man, is worried that the gang will come and wreck his house. I mean, what kind of brand puts something that looks like poop on top of their building? As Gennaro and his butler fret, Sonic, who's also in the room, offers to handle the situation for a price, of course. Sonic is known as the Sound King because he can zip around at the speed of sound or faster. As the Hammerhead gang makes their way toward the mountain to reach Genos' building, Sonic stops them and says he'll spare their lives if they just give up. But Hammerhead tells his gang to charge ahead, and Sonic smirks before diving into the fray. All the minor thugs drop like flies as Sonic zips by, leaving a trail of fallen heads behind him. Now Hammerhead's scared. After watching all his pals lose their noggins to Sonic, he tries to block Sonic's attack but ends up with a crack in his armor. Hammerhead slams the ground, creating a shockwave that forces Sonic to halt and jump onto a tree. Hammerhead then chucks huge rocks at Sonic, making a straight path. As Sonic follows the path, Hammerhead swings a massive tree along the way, but Sonic's already snuck up behind him and delivers a blow to his head. After giving Gennaro a ring to let him know the job's done, Sonic discovers that Hammerhead has slipped away. Hammerhead bolts and bumps into Saitama, then takes a swing at him. Hammerhead tries to keep attacking, but he realizes Saitama is as cool as a cucumber. Hammerhead busts out his windmill technique, but Saitama catches his hands and delivers a love tap that sends his armor flying. Seeing the tables turn, Hammerhead quickly says sorry to Saitama and swears off his evil ways. Saitama lets him go, and Hammerhead dashes away, covering his behind. Just then, Sonic shows up. Saitama points in the direction Hammerhead scampered off, and Sonic tosses a concealed weapon that Saitama snatches. Sonic tries to stab Saitama, who blocks the attack and snaps the sword, clarifying that he's got nothing to do with the Hammerhead gang. Sonic gets curious since Saitama has blocked 2 of his attacks, so he cranks up his supersonic speed to circle Saitama and tries to kick him in the head. Saitama dodges and raises his hand, accidentally smacking a little bird in the process. After some pain, Sonic threatens to take down Saitama next time in the most humiliating pose imaginable. Saitama shares the story with Genos and mentions that something's been eating at him. In his 3 years as a hero, nobody knows who he is, even though he's defeated tons of monsters. Genos asks Saitama if he's registered with the Hero Association, to which Saitama replies, "What's that?" The Hero Association is an organization that officially recognizes heroes and pays them a salary from the association's fund. Saitama asks if Genos has registered, and Genos says he hasn't. Saitama then invites Genos to sign up together and promises to take him on as a disciple. Genos is thrilled, exclaiming, "Let's go, Master!" That night, as Hammerhead is hiding, members of an organization whom he had stolen from come to teach him a lesson and then leave. Hammerhead secretly rejoices because his head is way tougher than a normal person's, so he survives. He vows to work hard from now on. So, the Hero Association's recruitment event rolls around, and folks might be eyeing Genos. Some onlookers doubt that bald-headed Saitama is even there to participate. But during the tests, Saitama proves he's not just a pretty, bald face, acing various physical tests like running, weightlifting, shot put, and high jump, even breaking the ceiling. He wrecks machines during the reflex and punching tests. Master and disciple wait in the changing room for the results. After an hour, the scores are in. Genos nails 100 points and becomes an S-class hero, while Saitama gets a mere 71 points, making him a C-class hero. They're led to a room to celebrate the successful participants, but it's just the 2 of them. The presenter, a suit man who loves bullying newcomers, tries to intimidate them with a martial arts demo, but Saitama's busy blowing bubbles with his gum and daydreaming about dinner, which ticks the guy off. On their way home, Genos shares that the Hero Association was founded 3 years ago when a millionaire's nephew, Agarine, was attacked by a monster and saved by a passerby. The millionaire used his dough to establish the Hero Association. The grumpy presenter in the room is an A-class hero ranked 38th, and he's salty because nobody knows him. The Hero Association explains that Genos aced both the written and physical tests, but Saitama tanked the written test while scoring a perfect 50 in the physical test. Saitama's the first to break all the physical test records in the event's 3-year history. Hearing this, a hero named Ness is spooked and worried that Saitama will keep climbing the ranks. That night, he confronts Saitama like he's gonna teach him a lesson and punches him in the face, but Saitama strikes back, leaving Ness with a hole in his face. Today, Genos takes Saitama to a desolate mountain for a friendly bout of whose superpower is cooler. Genos starts with a fiery attack, but Saitama dodges like he's in a game of dodgeball. Next, Genos tries a hook kick, leaps high into the air, and slams down onto the ground. Saitama jumps to dodge, and Genos shoots fire at him. Saitama luckily avoids getting roasted, not like he has any hair to burn anyway. Genos speeds up and throws a series of punches at Saitama, turning the mountain into Swiss cheese but missing every time. When he spots Saitama below, he unleashes all his firepower, thinking he's nailed him. But nope! Saitama pops up behind him, gives him a little pat, and claims victory. Genos pleads for a fair fight out of respect for their student-teacher bond. Saitama suddenly rushes in, moves behind Genos, and focuses all his power into a punch that could level mountains. But he stops just in time and suggests they grab some udon instead. Genos stares at the nearly vaporized mountains and realizes he's no match for Saitama. That night, they hit up a super spicy udon challenge, but Saitama can't take the heat and collapses. Genos, the spice master, finishes the challenge and even asks if that's all. A mime mask shows up to chat with Genos, and they step outside. Genos returns unscathed, surprising Saitama, who thought a mime mask had come to stir up trouble like before. On their way home, Genos glances at the Hero Association's welcome sign and tells Saitama to go ahead while he handles some business. For mysterious reasons, Genos moves in with Saitama and obsessively records his teacher's actions like he's making a reality TV show. Saitama's like, "Go find the author or something, I don't know what to teach you." Genos informs Saitama that if a C-class hero doesn't have any activity for a week, they get booted off the list. Hearing this, Saitama hurriedly puts on his clothes, and in true sitcom fashion, tries to convince Genos to stay home with a bunch of moral lessons that he doesn't even understand. Somehow, it works, and Saitama takes off in search of a monster. He searches all day but can't find a single villain or monster. So, he decides to try again tomorrow. The next day, in the middle of the city, Saitama starts to worry about losing his hero status if he doesn't find any action. Sonic shows up, but Saitama's too busy and tells him they'll catch up later. Thinking Saitama is dissing him, Sonic draws his sword and charges, but Saitama just bites the sword in half like it's a piece of spaghetti. Angry about not finding any monsters earlier, Saitama is ready to take his frustration out on Sonic. Just then, a tall, muscular, and smelly man appears, Tank Top Tiger. He announces that he'll take care of the criminal, and Saitama thinks he's talking about Sonic. But when Tank Top Tiger grabs Saitama's bald head and calls him the criminal, Saitama's face turns pale. Turns out, people mistook Saitama for a criminal due to his "I'm on a mission" face while running through the neighborhood. Tank Top Tiger tries to subdue Saitama to gain fame but gets taken out by Sonic's exploding shurikens. Everyone around them panics and flees like they're in a Godzilla movie. Sonic leaps up and keeps hurling exploding shurikens at the surrounding buildings, causing fireworks and causing a car crashing into a kid. Luckily, Saitama blocks it and then gets mad. As Sonic gloats, Saitama jumps behind him and slams him into the ground like he's playing whack-a-mole. Meanwhile, at the Hero Association, there's a meeting to discuss the antics of criminals and heroes keeping order in various cities. In City Z, there's an A-class monster, and 2 A-class heroes are sent to deal with it: Spring Mustache, rank 33, and Golden Ball, rank 29. They search the area, and soon enough, they sense the monster nearby and quickly chase after it. The monster is a sea creature surrounded by seaweed, looking like it's having a bad hair day. Golden Ball fires his drill-like projectiles, but the monster easily deflects them. It then emerges from a sewer, grabs Golden Ball's leg, and drags him down before slamming him into a wall, defeating him. Spring Mustache, although worried for his teammate, is forced to fight the sea monster. He wields his sword and fends off the creature's attacks. He bends his sword and fires a long blade that pierces through everything but only manages to give the monster a haircut. Feeling outmatched, he calls the Hero Association for backup, and several A-class heroes eagerly respond, ready to test their strength against the monster. After a while, Spring Mustache's sword breaks, and he can't hold on any longer, collapsing from exhaustion. When the sea monster sees how weak the humans are, a figure appears in the distance. It's Saitama. The monster starts attacking, but Saitama suddenly remembers that he hasn't bought any seaweed yet. That night, Saitama's house has seaweed soup, and he fibs to Genos, claiming he bought the seaweed at the supermarket for a bargain price. On the other hand, the arriving heroes find a destroyed building and the monster gone. They assume the monsters had a brawl over territory, not knowing that it was the bald guy, Saitama, who took down the sea creature. Meanwhile, in outer space, a massive asteroid is heading our way, and according to the Hero Association's calculations, it's gonna crash right into City Z. They hold an emergency meeting and discuss how to stop this cosmic party crasher. Genos is invited to join the meeting, and upon arrival, he meets Bang, the Silver Fawn, an S-Class hero rank 3. Bang informs Genos that all the heroes are gathered at the Hero Association headquarters, and the smaller branch therein is for gathering S-Class heroes, but only Bang and Genos are present. Bang tells Genos that in 35 minutes, the asteroid will hit City Z, wiping it out, and the other S-Class heroes don't want to lend a hand. Bang refuses to ditch the city and has come to help. It's too late to evacuate, so Genos grabs some high-tech gadgets to blast the asteroid. Atop a tall building, another hero wants to blow up the asteroid, Drive Knight, an S-Class hero rank 7. However, it's just his armor, while the real guy is miles away from the scene. As the two heroes chat, the asteroid enters Earth's atmosphere and starts falling. Drive Knight launches a missile at the asteroid, causing a huge fireworks show, but the asteroid remains unscathed. Genos sees that there are only 33 seconds left before the asteroid lands, but he's still afraid he can't do anything. At that moment, Bang appears and tells Genos that if he's already afraid of failure, he can't achieve anything. He advises Genos to roll with the punches and adapt to the situation. Taking the advice, Genos places his energy core into his hand and goes all out, but the asteroid remains untouched. As Genos collapses, Saitama arrives and asks Bang to keep an eye on his disciple. Saitama jumps up and punches the asteroid into pieces, completely destroying it. Bang is astonished and exclaims, "Wow, is this your first time breaking rocks?" However, the shattered asteroid bits also wreck City Z, but Saitama thinks it's no biggie. After this incident, although some folks still think Saitama is a villain for wrecking the city, Genos admires his master for the punch that made him stand out. Genos tells Saitama that he's moved up from rank 17 to 16 in S-Class, while Saitama has leaped from rank 342 to rank 5 in C-Class. Genos thinks Saitama should have been bumped up to A-Class or even S-Class, but the Hero Association believes that Genos and Bang were the asteroid busters, so they only push Saitama to rank 5 in C-Class. Genos also gives a quick rundown of the disaster levels. Tora, the tiger, threatens many lives. Oni, the demon-level disaster, puts an entire city in crisis. Rio, the dragon-level disaster, puts a whole city's existence on the line. And Kami, the god-level disaster, endangers the survival of all humanity. After hearing this, Saitama accidentally says a few words, causing Genos to instantly take notes. The young one is so eager to learn. Feeling that climbing the ranks is a breeze, Saitama steps outside to do something to level up. But as soon as he walks out, he runs into Tank Top Tiger and his brother, Tank Top Black Hole. They want to handle Saitama because they think he's cheated his way up by stealing the credit from S-Class heroes. Tank Top Black Hole loudly blames Saitama for destroying the town, causing people to gather around and criticize him. The two then plan to attack Saitama. These two clueless characters should be more careful. The younger brother gets punched away, while the older brother is gently squeezed and falls to his knees, apologizing for his big mouth. At this point, Saitama shouts that he's the one who busted the asteroid and dares anyone who disagrees to step up. When someone objects, Saitama shuts him up. However, when someone calls him bald, he gets steamed and is about to argue, but Genos stops him and advises him to leave. Seeing Genos' face, Saitama quietly walks away, and on the way home, Genos tells him that no matter what, he'll always have Saitama's back. The two stroll together down the dimly lit road. In City D, a monster claiming to be a citizen of the ocean shows up, but unluckily it bumps into Saitama on his way home, and with one punch, it's history. Today, many ocean dwellers start migrating to City G, and among them is a terrifying boss. The giant creatures come ashore first, and at this time, the rank 11 Class A hero, Stringers, arrives to rescue folks, and the news is broadcast on TV. After getting the scoop, Saitama and Genos spring into action. Although Stringers takes a beating, he eventually wipes out all the ocean dwellers with a torrid disaster level. But then, out of the blue, a smaller monster shows up and knocks Stringers out cold. Saitama and Genos make a beeline for City G, and the bicycle-riding hero tags along, but the latest news reports that the disaster level has shot up from Tora to Oni, making it a demon-level disaster. They've got to get a move on to save the city. Up on the rooftop, Mask is eyeballing a creepy-faced guy when, suddenly, the dude pops up right behind Mask, catching him off guard. Although Mask unleashes a lightning kick, it hardly phases the guy. When Mask challenges him to a one-on-one showdown, the guy lands a punch on Mask, sending him flying to the neighboring building. As Mask struggles to get up, the guy is already there, cackling like a madman. When Mask tries to kick him again, it's déjà vu, he gets punched away. Outside at this moment, a Class S hero named Puri Puri is close by, snagging Mask just in time to save him. Alongside him is Sonic, his prison cell buddy. Puri flexes a little and accidentally rips the sweater his boyfriend gave him. Enraged, Puri vows to get even for the wrecked sweater. But then Sonic chimes in. "You're the one who tore it, how are you going to take revenge?" Temporarily naming the ocean dweller, Aquaman, who charges at Puri, but Puri punches back, distorting Aquaman's face. At this point, Puri thinks Aquaman is strong, so he transforms by fighting in his birthday suit, showing off a jaw-dropping muscular body and twisted moves. Puri leaps high, creating a swan-like maneuver, and launches a barrage of punches at Aquaman. However, Aquaman blocks them all and lands heavy hits on Puri's stomach, shoulders, and face before launching a flurry of punches that send Puri soaring into the sky like a swan. As Aquaman keeps attacking Sonic, the latter nimbly dodges and counters with a kick, but Aquaman's extendable tongue shoots out, just catching Sonic's clothes. Aquaman presses the attack, forcing Sonic to leap onto a tall building to evade him, but Aquaman quickly gives chase. After a scuffle, Sonic gets caught by Aquaman, but he slips away by shedding his clothes, leaving him standing stark naked on a taller building, vowing to call his dad next time. Aquaman sarcastically tells him to go ahead. After running for a bit, Sonic bumps into Genos and warns him to steer clear of Aquaman, as any heroes who confront him are bound to get beaten. Inside the shelter, everyone is sweating bullets because Aquaman is still kicking, but just then, he senses people inside and promptly busts an opening in the shelter to make his grand entrance. Some brave soul stands up, offering to surrender and comply with the monster's demands, but the monster only wants to chow down and party on their remains. A few heroes in the shelter decide to throw down, including 2 Class C, 1 Class B, and 1 Class A hero, thinking they've got what it takes to defeat him. Outside, Mumin Rider is chauffeuring Saitama when he tells Rider to hit the road, as he's got some business to attend to. Saitama returns to find Rider's phone and learns that Aquaman is crashing the shelter party, and some heroes are trying to hold their own. After trashing a few heroes in the shelter, Aquaman is feeling pretty smug. Genos arrives, firing up his firepower to shoot at Aquaman but misses the mark. When Genos asks about the sitch, Aquaman leaps forward, snatching Genos' hand and socking him in the face, severing Genos' right arm, but his face gets all twisted up because of the counterattack. Saitama gets a call from the Hero Association, and they want a front row seat to his true strength, so they text him the address. Genos tells everyone to make a run for it out of the shelter, while he stays to play Aquaman's punching bag. He charges at the monster, smacking him in the face to keep him from chasing the others. The two go at it in a wild brawl, and Genos punches Aquaman sky high, toasting him with his firepower. Genos then whips out a dazzling technique and pummels Aquaman with a flurry of punches, but the monster just shrugs it off. At this point, a kid cheers for Genos, but Aquaman hawks up some nasty acidic saliva at the child, and Genos takes one for the team, getting his body all corroded. Aquaman chucks Genos against a wall and punts him outside. Rider rolls up and gets snagged by Aquaman, who goes to town slamming him into the ground. Rider doesn't quit and keeps fighting back, only to be tossed like a ragdoll. Using the power of words, Rider declares he'll never grovel and that battling tough guys will only make him tougher. He swears to duke it out with Aquaman to the bitter end. The crowd admires Rider's guts and cheers him on, but reality has a way of smacking you in the face as Aquaman lands a punch. Just in the nick of time, Saitama swoops in and catches Rider. Saitama eyeballs the battered Genos and tells him to sit tight while he deals with Aquaman. So Aquaman, all pumped up, goes for a knockout punch on Saitama's head, but it only gives Saitama's noggin a little jiggle. Saitama snaps back. "Hey, who the heck do you think you're smacking?" Everyone still assumes Saitama is a Class C hero, so they figure he's about to become Monster Chow. But then, Saitama serves up a single punch special to Aquaman, leaving a giant hole in his chest and his eyes bugging out. Aquaman goes down for the count, and the crowd goes wild. Meanwhile, Saitama scratches his head, wondering if that is all. Just then, Sonic rolls up, armed and ready to take on Aquaman, but there's nothing left to slice and dice. The next morning, the Hero Association delivers fan mail to our heroes. Genos' mailbox is bursting at the seams, while Saitama only gets a measly 2 letters. The first one rips into him for swiping the spotlight from the other heroes. Flashback to when he just KO'd the sea monster, and everyone was cheering him on. But then, this toad-faced dude pipes up, suggesting that the monster must have been a total wimp if a Class C hero like Saitama could take it down, and that the Class S heroes must be slacking. Saitama chuckles and thanks the other heroes for softening up the monster so he could swoop in for the glory. He fibs to protect the rep of the Hero Association's big leagues. Saitama's other letter is a thank you note, letting him know he's been bumped up to rank 1 Class C. The Hero Association hollers at him and offers him the choice to stay in Class C or level up to Class B. Not wanting to be stuck with daily chores, Saitama opts for the upgrade to Class B. Up in the association's ivory tower, 3 bigwigs are yapping about Saitama, accusing him of being a cheat and a glory hog. Just then, someone from the association chimes in, saying Saitama's got mad skills and they should sit back and watch as he climbs the ranks like a boss. At the hospital, Stringer and Mask wake up to find their senior, Puri, standing over them, insisting they take some, feminizing hormone injections. They hightail it out of there, not wanting any part of that prescription. Later that night, Saitama runs into Ryder, chowing down on some street food, and gets a pat on the back for his promotion. Meanwhile, deep inside an ancient iceberg, a pair of red eyes flicker to life as a dino decides it's had enough of being a popsicle. Just as it's soaking up the sun's rays, a plane zips by, dropping a power-packed girl onto the scene. She lands right in front of the dino, yakking away without a care in the world. The dino, clearly not a fan of small talk, tries to attack her, but a meteor swoops in and sends it back to dreamland. Turns out, our green-haired gal summoned that cosmic save with her psychic powers. Up on a mountain martial arts dojo, Bang shows off his water stream rock smashing fist technique to Saitama and Genos. But they're like, meh, which ticks off Bang's top student, Taranko. He challenges them, but Genos schools him without breaking a sweat. Bang then spills the beans about a former student named Garo who got fed up with training and went rogue, beating up his fellow students. Bang had to throw down with Garo and kick him off the mountain. While they're chatting, a messenger shows up to round up the S-rank heroes. Genos nudges Saitama to tag along, just in case they need some extra muscle. They roll up to the headquarters and bump into Yasuo Jungle. Atomic, who's chilling there. Saitama says, "Hey, but Atomic's all. I only talk to the strong." Saitama can't help but wonder if this dude missed the memo that the show's called One Punch Man. Tatsumaki breezes in and wonders why they dragged along a B-class hero like Saitama. Saitama, being Saitama, asks who she is, thinking she's just a lost kid. She's fuming and lets him know she's the second-ranked S-class hero. Thank you very much. Inside the meeting room, you've got all these serious-looking S-rank heroes, and then there's Saitama, sticking out like a sore thumb, casually asking for tea. Just then, the association director walks in and drops the bomb that the great mystic, Sabea, has died. Apparently, she choked on her own saliva trying to hold back a cough. Talk about a rough way to go. Saitama wonders who she is, thinking maybe she's the lady who sells veggies at the market. Puri sets him straight, saying she's a big deal, and her predictions are always spot on. Before she kicked the bucket, she left a final prophecy on a piece of paper. When it's projected, everyone's jaws hit the floor. It says the Earth is in danger. The director lays it out. Her prophecy is the real deal, and in 6 months, Earth's gonna be in deep trouble. So, they asked the S-class heroes to step up to the plate. Oh, and there's Saitama, sitting there like a doofus. Meanwhile, outside headquarters, Sam Wilson, Birdmen attack. But they start dropping like flies, and their leader gets sliced in two. Out of nowhere, a giant spaceship appears and the 5-headed Birdman hops on board. The ship kicks into destruction mode, blasting everything below it to smithereens. A dad and his kid are trying to save each other when the 5-headed beastie spots them and goes in for the capture. But a mysterious knight swoops in and lops off one of the monster's fingers. The creature smashes the knight's helmet, but that only makes the knight angrier. He strikes back, slicing the monster in half. Back in the meeting room, they report that the city's damage is at a whopping 99.8%. Talk about a major fixer-upper. Saitama leaps through the ceiling to check out the action outside. As he does, an onslaught of giant bullets come flying at him. He tosses them back and gives one an extra kick for good measure. The 5-headed beastie changes its arm from a kite to a hammer, and smashes the arm of the young man who had rescued the father and son earlier. Just as it splits into 5 bodies, ready to attack again, Atomic, the third-ranked S-class hero, swoops in and starts dicing the creatures like they're on a cooking show. They regenerate, and Atomic keeps slicing and dicing until they finally merge into an even beefier form. Meanwhile, Silver Fang and Metal Bat join the fray. Puri does his swan technique, tearing off his clothes to reveal his rippling muscles, and starts pummeling the enemy. While everyone's outside hashing out battle plans, Saitama slips into the spaceship. Inside, the cool-as-a-cucumber boss named Boros is waiting. Boros strolls into the control room, where his underlings fill him in that some human intruders already caused 23% damage to their precious spaceship. Boros orders his top minions to handle this pesky Saitama. Down on the ground, Mera's duking it out with the S-class heroes but gets called back to deal with the human intruder on board. He detaches one of his heads to return to the ship, leaving the rest of his body to keep brawling. But Metal Bat annihilates the detached head before it can even blink. Saitama busts down a door in the spaceship, scare the blue out of him. After the detached head is destroyed, Metal Bat finds a red core in the center, which starts regenerating. Silver Bat keeps charging in and smashing it like he's in batting practice. Over here we've got Mera duking it out with Silver Fang, Atomic, and Puri. Mera calls the control room guy, hoping for a little backup. But control room dude's like, "I'm busy with the human inside, you're on your own." Talk about poor customer service, am I right? Meanwhile, Metal Bat is still going at it with the creature, snagging a blue orb in the process. He shatters the orb, and the creature's head goes kaput. Metal Bat shares the hot tip with everyone. There's an orb inside the monster's body, and that's its Achilles heel. With this intel, Atomic Samurai launches a full-on assault, targeting that precious orb. Inside the spaceship, Saitama gets a friendly warning from the blue alien in the control room. "Take another step, and you're toast." Saitama's just lost and wants to find the exit, so the alien shows him the way out, secretly hoping Saitama will just throw in the towel. But our hero doesn't follow directions well and charges straight into the building. He kicks down a massive door and finds himself in the control room. Now, he's face to face with a cosmic octopus named Zeroga, who's got some serious psychic power. Zeroga's a gravity-bending pro, creating a force like a black hole. But Saitama's not impressed. Zeroga throws rocks at Saitama with crazy centrifugal force, but Saitama's like, "What was the point of that?" Zeroga's so shocked by Saitama's unshakable cool that he faints from the mental stress and gets taken down with just one hit. Saitama then grills the remaining aliens for their boss's location. Mera takes a heavy hit and loses another head, leaving just 2 behind. The three-eyed alien on the ship thinks it's the perfect time to fire missiles at the heroes below. But Tatsumaki swoops in, using her psychic powers to block and return the missiles back to sender. The three-eyed alien, feeling outmatched, wishes he could just pack up and go home. The battle against Mera rages on, and Bang snags another orb, leaving only one head and orb to go. But Mera catches Bang off guard and lands a painful hit. Furious, Mera decides to wipe out all the heroes, which gets Yasuo all fired up. He charges in, shouting that he'll unleash his Hisagi move to take down the monster. Meanwhile, Saitama stumbles upon the boss's lair and asks if he's the head honcho. Boros stands up and reveals that he's the leader of a space pirate gang. He's come to Earth in search of a worthy opponent, having heard a prophecy about a powerful warrior who could defeat him. As soon as Boros approached Saitama, he was punched through several walls. Struggling to get up, Boros's armor shatters, revealing that it was suppressing his unrivaled strength. Now he's ready for a real fight. Saitama's just like, "Oh really?" Boros transforms into his true form, and the battle begins. Despite the intense fight, Saitama still manages to do catwalking while fighting. After one punch, Boros loses an arm but keeps attacking. Down below, Tank Top King tries to hurl a chunk of a broken building at the spaceship, and Tatsumaki also steps in, using her psychic powers to lift the debris and continuously pelt the spaceship. The aliens inside are terrified and just want to go home. Meanwhile, Mera keeps attacking Atomic, but he just won't quit. In fact, Mera even says he's starting to enjoy the taste of victory. That's when Bang decides to get serious. He takes off his shirt, revealing his ripped physique, and marches toward Mera, who's shocked to see the old man still standing. While Mera's distracted, Atomic goes to town, smashing Mera's body to bits. Bang grabs the last core and crushes it, putting an end to Mera once and for all. The lower-ranked heroes shift their focus to rescuing injured civilians. Inside the spaceship, Saitama and Boros duke it out in hand-to-hand combat. Even with just one arm, Boros lands some heavy blows, sending Saitama reeling. Boros doesn't let up, relentlessly attacking and eventually knocking Saitama out of the spaceship. They end up on the roof, where Boros acknowledges that Saitama is the toughest opponent he's ever faced. He then unleashes a massive energy blast, creating a huge explosion. But somehow, Boros ends up behind Saitama and delivers a powerful punch that sends a gust of wind to clear the flames. Boros admits Saitama's strength is impressive and brags about his own race's ability to regenerate and tap into vast amounts of energy. But Saitama's getting tired of all the chit-chat, which only makes Boros angrier. Boros releases a surge of energy that creates intense pressure inside the spaceship, sending Saitama flying. The fight continues, with explosions and more relentless attacks. Boros smashes Saitama into the ground and then kicks him skyward, so hard that Saitama ends up on the moon. Up there, Saitama struggles to breathe before remembering that, oh right, there's no air in space. He leaps back to Earth with such force that he shatters a third of the moon's surface in the process. Just when Boros thinks he's won, Saitama reappears, completely unfazed. Furious, Boros charges and punches Saitama repeatedly, only to be knocked back by Saitama's counterpunch. Saitama then lands a barrage of hits, leaving Boros's body battered, but he quickly regenerates. Determined to defeat Saitama, Boros unleashes all his power. That's when Saitama decides it's time for his serious punch. The punch obliterates Boros's energy core and is so strong that it even splits the Earth's clouds in two. Boros can still speak with Saitama and admits his defeat. Saitama lets him know that he's the first to withstand a serious punch. Boros says the fight was thrilling, but he knew Saitama wasn't giving it his all, so he never stood a chance. Boros declares Saitama the strongest person he's ever met. As he speaks, the spaceship starts to crumble, panicking the minions inside who cry for their parents and wish they were home. The ground heroes scramble to escape the falling debris. Amai then shows up, mocking the S-class heroes as useless. Metal Bat gets angry, wanting to hit Amai with his bat. But as they argue, a machine surfaces, and Beaufoy appears, planning to repair the spaceship and create the ultimate weapon. He's been absent during the fight but now wants to take charge. Amai proceeds to kill the remaining minions before leaving. Meanwhile, Tatsumaki watches as Saitama emerges from the wreckage of the spaceship. She tries to ask how he's doing, but he pays her no mind and only speaks to Genos, infuriating Tatsumaki. She snaps at them, and when Saitama tells Genos to reply, Tatsumaki pins him to the wall with her powers. Thankfully, Bang steps in to calm things down before they turn into a full-on brawl. Saitama attempts to free Genos from the wall, but he's stuck so tight that his arm breaks off during the rescue. After this event, the heroes spread out to various cities and start rebuilding their headquarters, more determined than ever to become stronger and face even more powerful adversaries. And with that, we wrap up today's tale. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay updated. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share with your friends. Your support helps our channel grow. See you in the next one.